What's more anime classic than a magic sword? Nothing! And much like Excalibur in Western mythology, Japan has its own fancy legendary blade that currently goes by the awesomely innocuous name of Grasscutter. It's one of the 3 royal regalias of Japan, but it's definitely got the most complicated past, so let's take a minute to talk about it. So Grasscutter's story begins with the thunder god Susanoo-No-Mikoto, who has recently been banished from heaven thanks to being a little overenthusiastic in his trolling of his sister Amaterasu. So while he's wandering the earth, he finds a grieving couple who tell him that 7 of their 8 daughters have been eaten by a giant 8-headed snake, the Orochi. So Susan offers to kill the Susan. God damn it. So Susanoo offers to kill the snake in exchange for their last remaining daughter, which they're okay with. So Susanoo turns the daughter into a comb for temporary safekeeping and sets off to beat up the snake. So he sets up a trap for the snake, 8 barrels of sake specifically. The snake shows up, spots the rice wine, and takes the opportunity to get mad drunk, and when all 8 of its heads pass out, Susanoo leaps out of hiding and cuts off its heads. Then while he's cutting the snake up into manageable pieces, his sword hits something hard in the snake's tail, and when he investigates, he finds another sword embedded in it. This sword is named Miscellaneous, or Sword of the Gathering Clouds of Heaven, which is a pretty sweet name appropriate for a pretty sweet sword. Susanoo then gives the sword to Amaterasu as an apology gift. Now the cool thing about Amaterasu, well, one of many cool things, is that supposedly the emperors of Japan can trace their lineage all the way back to her. So Amaterasu has a grandson, Kusanagi-No-Mikoto, who she sends down to rule Japan. As signs of his status, she gives him 3 gifts, each heavily symbolic. A mirror, which represents purity, a jewel representing benevolence, and, you guessed it, the sword Orochi, which in this case is playing the role of courage. Ninigi's great-grandson Jimmu then became the first official emperor of Japan, and the regalias were passed down from generation to generation, each belonging to the reigning emperor at any given time. Now the next major event in the sword's history is when it falls into the hands of Prince Yamato, the clever but overconfident son of Emperor Keiko. Now Yamato had previously been exiled due to some fratricidal shenanigans, but his aunt, the high priestess of Amaterasu, takes pity on the kid for his newfound dangerous situation and loans him the sacred sword in the hopes that it'll help him survive. This comes in handy later when a local warlord invites Prince Yamato on a friendly hunting expedition and then takes the opportunity to set the open field on fire, hoping to kill Yamato in what looks like an accident. Yamato sees he's trapped by the fire and starts cutting the grass around him to remove the fuel, and that's when he finds out the sword can control the wind. So using his trusty fire starters and his newly discovered magic sword, Prince Yamato blows fire back at the would-be assassins, assassinating them instead. This is when the sword gets its name Grasscutter. The last important bit of Grasscutter's story is when Prince Yamato fails to take it with him when he goes to fight a giant monster and is predictably killed. Grasscutter is then moved to the Atsuta Shrine for safekeeping, where it supposedly remains to this day. And it's not a katana. Just want to stress that. Katanas only started showing up around 1100 AD. Grasscutter was already a thing when the first emperor took power nearly 2,000 years earlier. Not every Japanese sword is a katana. God damn it, anime. So yeah.